Welcome to Plus Speakers. I'm Kush,
And I'm Alex.
and today we're going to review Martin Zaffran Epilogue. So Martin Zaffran is an artist we just found on Bandcamp who does plunderphonics and electronic ambient music. I think this is his third album or so. He's not very popular, but I think he deserves to be more popular after listening to this. I thought it was really enjoyable, just for the most part. Given that I don't listen to much plunderphonics, but the little that I have, this is probably one of the better ones that I've listened to.
Yeah, he's a guy I know on Rate Your Music, the site, and I saw this on his main profile page. He had hit this album advertised for over a month, and that just became indebted in my mind. And then I was like, oh, I really want to listen to this for some reason. So that's like advertising really working on me. And well, I asked him when it's coming out, and he said February. And I listened to the first track on the other side, The Outer Shell, and I was blown away by this. It was well beyond what I thought he could do. Not that I was doubting him, but it was just so well made, and his editing and arranging skills to get all these musical samples together in such a finessed way was amazing to me. I couldn't believe how well done it was, because some of these samples are from completely different genres and eras of music.
He even samples movies and famous clips from history, so it's kind of interesting that he got all that to work together in actual music.
Yeah, I don't think I know one of the movies or TV show ones, but they were pretty cool.
Oh no, I
The only one
I just assumed they were movies or TV shows just because they weren't music.
the only one I thought I might have known was one of the songs had a Guts, the psychic song, the opening dialogue. It might have been from the TV show Narcos, but I don't actually know. I was watching that, but I can't remember the specific dialogue. But it's about drug talk and stuff with the police, so it might have been that.
Yeah, but
So
go ahead.
I just wanted to say my idea of plunderphonics, because I'm not 100% sure what it is, but is it when you have a lot of musical samples and audio recordings and make a completely new piece of recording from it? Is that what it is?
Yeah, from the research I did, plunderphonics is more like you don't make any music yourself. You take other people's musics or dialogues or whatever, mishmash and edit them together into one song that is in turn just unique in your own, not something you copied.
But I think it's done to an unrecognizable, slightly point where it doesn't become.
Yeah.
It's not like a mashup album exactly.
Yeah, it's done to the point where you don't realize what the end result is.
Yeah, so it's just amazing how well these elements work together, and it's just so well made. Okay, first of all, I'd say David Bowie songs were probably the most prominent artist sampled on here, and that makes sense because he had died probably a few months before he started making this, so it's done as a bit of a tribute to him, I'd say. Because on the other side, the Outer Shell, the main acoustic chord on that's from a David Bowie song, Loving the Alien, at the start. So it was kind of cool seeing some of these songs have different samples I recognised, but I didn't recognise most of them. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I thought that there were quite a few good songs that are interesting, because I know he switches between more of a complex and in-depth instrumentation to something more ambient and minimalistic. The song Abraxas is really minimalistic, and there's at the end there's this crackling sound that I was convinced my headphones had broken at that point. It was part of the song actually. It starts off more calmed and just mellow.
I'm pretty sure that starts with a Captain Beefheart sample, a little bit.
Yeah, but it starts off really mellow, and then it builds up with adding drums and pianos, and then ultimately it just gets into like almost like a full blown band just going at it. But it's just one guy behind a computer making it. It was really interesting.
Yeah, it's just him, but on his Bandcamp he did credit two other people who gave him like ideas of stuff to sample, which is kind of cool because this is an album made by a guy who loves music. First of all, obviously, he knows so much different stuff to conjure up together. But the fact that he got suggestions from two people and made even those work, some of those he probably didn't know of, that's just, I'm seriously impressed by this. Like, the only song that isn't a extremely heavy plunderphonics mix is probably the Reckoner mix, because I just see this as a weird edit of Reckoner by Radiohead, because I think this only uses audio samples from that specific song, but he changes them around in such a different way that it doesn't even sound like it. And yeah, some of the guitars towards the end I think were from Weird Fishes of Preggy. But it's a cool idea, and it makes it the closest to being a rounded song. Yeah.
I know he made he used some chiptune music in a couple songs. David Hayter had some chiptune in it.
Yeah.
There's one more I can't remember, but I think I didn't really enjoy the very last song, Epilogue.
Yeah.
I thought,
but yeah.
I just thought that there was like a lot of nothing going on, which is okay. I like minimalistic music, but like there was like a minute of just silence, like absolutely nothing happening.
I actually really like that because most of this album goes nowhere, goes everywhere. It doesn't stop. Because I'd say the base core of this album is, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 audio samples at once, and then I don't know, after 20 seconds or so, one of them goes away and another one's added, to the point where if you're listening to one song and if you skip to a minute and a half through it, it'll be completely different sounding. And yet, if you listen the whole way through, it works. They all work together. And it shouldn't, because there's so many different elements, but they don't jar, they don't not work together. So having a nice minute silence at the end was kind of a nice change from having too much stuff going on, potentially, I thought.
I never thought there was too many things. I think everything he did was intentional and like he deliberately chose certain things to sound more heavy and more complex than other things. Like the song with the Welcome to Boulder City, that had like a circus intro. Right. It reminded me of the circus. I'm not really sure if that's what his intention was, but definitely was circus themed, and like went to like a disco from like disco type music, and it was just very complex and very interesting what kind of sounds he can create by using only samples.
That was a weird song for me because it sounded like a homage to Introducing by DJ Shadow, because it uses the exact same sample he used from Bjork's Possibly Maybe, like the same keyboard chords, but he can't really take credit for it because it was used on another Plunderphonics song, but it's used in such a way that it definitely sounds like a tribute to him, you know, the granddaddy of Plunderphonics, I guess, DJ Shadow. And there's a little bit of a ton of cheekness with that, but this is probably the funkiest song on the album, I get what you mean, because it has another David Bowie sample with the Fame guitar riff towards the end. Most of the notes I wrote on this were like a spot the sample kind of game. I'm not gonna lie, like High Noon, I'm pretty sure it started with a guitar lifted from a Metallica song, but he edits it in such a way that I wasn't completely sure. I'm pretty sure now it's Fade to Black, and I just recognised the guitar as being played by James Hetfield. And then the only other thing I wrote was that he used another David Bowie song, The Assassin, the riff, just the riff. And I always thought that was a weaker David Bowie song, but the riff was cool, so it's cool to see it just together. So, yeah, I mean, he says on his Bandcamp he sampled 200 different audio samples.
Jesus Christ.
So that's pretty impressive. I know. So that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I'm not as good
Did you have a?
as I'm not as good as like finding what samples he used. I'm not like really. I'm not someone who like really just remembers songs that well. I have to re-listen to them a lot, and not knowing like which ones he sampled is kind of interesting. But I think that goes to show like I've listened to plunderphonics where it's just so obvious which songs were sampled, and I think that this gives it a nice. But just because I didn't realize it, just proves that what you can do just by sampling music and how unique and diverse you can really make a sound that's already been made before.
Yeah. My favorite song, that was actually quite hard to decide on because effectively it's like the same quality level. There's not one song, well, maybe the last one for the reason you stated, it's a bit more minimal, is any worse than any other one. It's the exact same idea going into all of these songs. But track 3 / In My Dreams / When the World Stops, that's one hell of a trippy song. It's 11 minutes, and it reminds me of Timeless, which is a 21-minute atmospheric drum and bass song by Goldie from the mid-90s, in that it's like progressive electronic, and it sends you on a crazy trip that's out of this world. Whoa. And this is pretty similar in feeling, but maybe instead of just sending you out of this world into a space-like trance, maybe you've got like a little time capsule of popular culture, because there's a lot of samples here that bring you back to Earth while on the space trip. And there's also that In My Dreams part, that's like a 10-second catchy pop vocal. He doesn't overplay it, it comes in, probably goes through it twice, and I just kept replaying that bit because it's really alluring to me. I wanted to hear that specific bit again. But yeah, in general, it's kind of hard to talk about these songs as if they're anything specifically different from each other, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I really enjoyed most of the songs on here. I don't think there's like one song that stood out to me more than the other. Definitely track 3 was interesting because it's just so long and so complex, and like it did sound like he put 3 tracks together in one piece. But
Yeah.
but I think all the other songs were pretty good. Minus I didn't really enjoy the epilogue, but that's beside the point. I think every other song was fine, and I thought the album in just a complete project was really, really enjoyable to listen to.
Yeah, well, maybe it really is the epilogue, because apparently this is part 3 of a trilogy of plunderphonics albums beginning with E. Like, I think the first one's called Exit, and I can't remember what the second one's called, but man, so considering it's like an epilogue of maybe 30 tracks, maybe it's a bit more of a understandable why it's so quiet.
Yeah,
I don't know.
But that could potentially make more sense.
Yeah, so I'm really happy that I found this guy and tried him out. Oh yeah, the second one's called Echidna. Just any random word beginning with E could have done the job, I guess. But
I mean, echidna's a type of animal. It's like a.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, Knuckles the Echidna from
There
Sonic.
you go. That's
I
what I was
think.
thinking of. Yep. But yeah.
So
What would you rate it, Alex?
I don't want to like bear in mind that this is by an extremely obscure artist that doesn't have that much success, really. You know, it's not that well known. Maybe we're like the first people who've properly analysed any of his music. But, you know, I genuinely enjoyed this. If I just found it one day, I'd love it. So I'm going to give it 7.5. This was extremely accomplished, and I don't really know what I'm looking for in plunderphonics, really. Like, it's not as good as Introducing or Since I Met You or Since I Left You, whatever. I can't remember. I think it's Since I Left You, actually. I've not listened to Avalanches in a while. But yeah, 7.5, really impressive.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 7. Mainly because I'm not really too familiar with the genre, so I don't know what else is out there. But I definitely enjoyed listening to most of the tracks on here. I thought that they were unique, they were complex, and the fact that he manipulated all the samples in a way where they were to the point like almost unrecognizable, because you got like 10 or 15 of them, and he said he sampled 200 different things. So
Well, I got like 15, but oh no, I got like 30, but I wasn't gonna mention them all. But
yeah, but like
okay, yeah,
that's still not that many out of 200 samples.
true.
So I mean, I was impressed. I think he definitely has found his niche. He found something that he loves, and I think that as long as he keeps working at it, he's gonna keep putting out great music like this.
So last session we had a must listen. I think considering this is a free album and plunderphonics is a genre that most people probably don't know that well, you may as well like give it a shot, download it if you
Yeah,
want.
especially it's free.
I
mean, it's not gonna hurt you.
Yeah, and also I did see that he gives you the list of the 200 samples. I don't know why we didn't get that for this. We probably should have. But I think I know, but I think it's more fun not knowing in a way. Like I only got 30 out of 200. That's only like 15% of them. So yeah, maybe I'll have a look at that and see if I was even right with some of the ones I noticed.
Yeah, that'd be something that's kind of fun to just sit down and try to figure out which samples are used where. It'd probably be like quite a challenge for some like really diehard music nerds like us.
Yeah.
Well, if that's it, then thanks for tuning to Busted Speakers. If you like this video, then make sure you like and subscribe. Check out some of our other videos on the channel, and check us out on social media.